All right, let's make a formal introduction for our listener. Good afternoon, Leo. My name is Claudio, and I'm calling you from Washington, D.C., from the studios in Fairfax City. We are very humble and grateful that Leo Carcinella accepted our invitation to our show. Leo, welcome to the show, man.
Thank you, Claudio. It's a pleasure. Thanks for having me.
No,
And
no
it
problem, man.
is Carnicella.
Carnicella, there you go. All
Yes.
right. And the last 2 years have been crazy with the, with the COVID. And if you're a musician, you cannot tour, you will stay at home. Some people have other jobs and so on and so forth. How the COVID affected you, your family, your career, your sanity? How you holding up, man?
Uh, when all this craziness started, I was in Vienna. I was living in Vienna, and my main profession is software engineer. I'm not really musician as a main musician. It's not my official profession. So I was in Vienna working in my regular job when all this thing started. And in 2019, I started to work on two old songs with the idea to record it in a production, in a musical production. So when the pandemic came, my father died in 2020. It was very shocking for me, but I was working in the material that I had. I had the pleasure and the enormous privilege to work with Tony Franklin, the British bass player, and I sent to him my demos and asked him for his professional opinion about the tracks, and he said that he liked the music and he could help me to develop it more. So we started working on it, and then Vincent Velasco joined, and it was everything at home and remotely. So we were at home, like prisoners of our home, but still trying to live in this new reality of the situation. Yes.
I got it. Were you born like in a musical family? How old were you when you perhaps took piano lesson or guitar lesson, or
It's funny because I started when I was 6 years old, playing a little, very teeny electric organ with just 2 octaves.
Yeah.
We had a lot of instruments at home, and I always wondering why, because nobody could play a note in my family. So it was very strange because we had a guitar, a cuatro, a Venezuelan cuatro, which is like some kind of ukulele, Venezuelan instruments with 4 strings.
Yeah.
We had an acoustic guitar, we had that organ, we had an harmonica, a lot of things, but nobody could play anything. So when I was 6 years old, I remember that I would spend a lot of time with the organ, just pressing the keys. And I was always fascinated with the vibrato, that the sustain of the notes when you keep your fingers in one key.
Yeah.
So I remember that I spent a lot of time doing noises on there. And everyone that came to the family to visit our home, to visitors at home, and watching me in my abstract sessions, abstract jammings, asking me, what are you playing? And I remember that my answer always was like, oh, it's just music for films or something like that, But I really never had lessons of piano or keyboard or anything. My first, let's say, unofficial lesson was a friend of my mother came to visit us and asked me, what are you playing? And I was in the middle of my, I don't know, noisy sessions. And she said to me, why don't you learn something that other people can sing as well? And my answer was how I can achieve such a goal. She took a chair and said to me, and she started to teach me how to combine the notes. So in that way, I learned to, or started to develop the ear or the capacity to reproduce every song that I heard that was nice for other persons in that teeny organ. So with time, I started to play with both hands, but everything was by ear. I never had a teacher or something like that. And then I started to have interest in popular music. I remember that I was maybe 6 or 7 years old. I was the companion of my mother in the kitchen always. My mother had always the radio, and suddenly the radio started to broadcast the song Human Nature, which was produced by Quincy Jones for the album Thriller for Michael Jackson.
Correct. Yeah.
This is a wonderful song that was written by Steve Porcaro from the band, American band Toto.
Yeah.
And I remember that music, that kind of arrangements, the guitar, the sounds of the keyboards was magical for me. That captured my attention immediately. Then I remember that I had the son of our neighbor, which was a guy maybe 1 or 1.5 years bigger than me, older than me, had received 2 vinyl from Queen, A Night at the Opera and Greatest Hits 1. He started to put every day, as loud as possible, Bohemian Rhapsody and Somebody to Love, those 2 songs. But every day, those 2 songs always. And I remember that I said to him one day, hey, these albums have other songs as well, because I would like to hear what else is inside.
That's right.
And he said to me, yeah, I will make you a tape. And he put me into a tape the entire A Night at the Opera. Yeah. And that album for me was the start of a big love for rock music.
Right. Yeah.
And it was, you know, from the start of the album with Death on Two Legs, with Lazing on a Sunday Afternoon, and then the magical organ sound in You Are My Best Friend. It was for me really a magical music. Then I remember that I was visiting him in his home, and he had a vinyl from his brother, I think, 2 vinyls, which was really also a big influence in my rock and roll endeavors, were Highway to Hell from AC/DC and 74 Jailbreak.
Yeah.
And I asked him, what is this? What kind of music is it? And he said, oh, I don't like this. You can take it with you because I don't hear this thing. And then I remember that I went home and I was always hearing 74 Jailbreak and AC/DC, the first tracks. And it was for me really, it was something totally new for me that changed my life. But then my mom discovered the albums and said, what is this? And he said that this music is not good for you. You will never be a musician because I don't want you to have this image in my son. You know, the cover of 74 Jailbreak is Angus Young covered in sweat without t-shirt, with the electric guitar in this face, you know. Yeah. So the rock and roll started to be like a secret part of me, you know. I was sharing this just in my privacy, in my room, putting the music at high value. And then in the school, I found other guys which had familiar with some music, or family which had love for this kind of music. And I started to share that with them. And so it was. Then when I was 18 years old, I took by my own theory of music classes in the Conservatory José Ángel Lamas in Caracas. Then I started to learn how to write music and read music. But that's it. I remember that I had 2 teachers from guitar, but unfortunately I didn't learn anything about them from them. And because everything was more like do this exercise and just to be more capacity, to be fast in hands. But I never liked that kind of way to learn into doing exercise. I wanted to try to play something, or if I cannot play something, maybe to develop something new by my own. So it was.
Yeah, good. That's a very good answer. When you were living in Venezuela, was easy or hard to buy records? I mean, like Led Zeppelin or Pink Floyd or Genesis or the rest, it was difficult? Or
when I was a kid, I didn't receive too much money from my parents. Yeah, but I remember the other money that I had, they were all for records.
Oh, they're good for you. Yeah, I think the same.
And if there were no records, then I remember that I was always looking the right people with big collections, and maybe ask for a tape or recording or
Yeah,
something
sure.
like that, you know. But I started to collect music. I remember I started with Queen, then I had interest, of course, in AC/DC, then some albums of Pink Floyd, I write in my hands. I remember that I was, when I was a kid, I don't remember how old I was, but it was in the year of the concert of Roger Waters in Berlin. It was 1988 or something like that, maybe.
Yeah.
And I remember that the television was broadcasting that concert. And I remember that a part of the film that captured my attention is with Roger Waters was singing Nobody at Home, sitting in this chair like the scene of the movie. It was so great for me to see this performance. So I tried to look always this CDs or tapes or whatever, if it was original, best for me, but not always did have the chance to have the albums, to buy the records originally. But it was difficult. I remember the most difficult things for me to find. There was the material of King Crimson, because no much stores. King Crimson was not a band, not well known for other, yeah, it was not so commercial like, for example, Queen or Led Zeppelin or things like that.
Correct. Yeah.
And I was talking with someone, and he said to me, do you know King Crimson? No, I don't know what it is. That, oh, you need to find the album. The name is In the Court of the Crimson King, and in the cover is this big face with a big nose. And so I started to look for in the stores for that album. In many stores, they said, we don't know this kind of thing, so we don't know this record. And then I arrived to a store where the guy say, yeah, I know that this album is very good. It's a classic album, but it's difficult to find. So maybe you need to go to a collector store or something like that.
Yeah.
Then I remember that I found a place where I found the first, In the Court of the Crimson King albums in CD, and was very, very expensive. Then I spent a lot of time looking at, and I found a store which was only vinyl records, only LPs. And when I said to the guy, I was like, I don't remember how old I was, but maybe it was 10 years old, something like that. And I remember when I said to the guy in the store, do you have something of King Crimson? The guy was busy with something. He immediately looked to me and said, what? Do you hear King Crimson? And
Yeah, wow.
how do you know that band? For your father? No, some guy told me that they are cool and I want to like to hear. And I remember that this guy went into a space, very hidden place in his store, and he came with 5 albums: In the Court of the Crimson Kings, Discipline, Lizard, Starless and Bible Black, and I don't remember what was the other one. The prices were very, very high because they were first press of every album.
Yeah.
It was impossible for me to buy.
Sure.
But then when I saw those prices in those albums, I said, why? What's the mysterious with what's the mystery with this band? Why is it so complicated to hear those records? And more than that, because you never, so in Venezuela, you never hear in the radio like things like Epitaph or things like that, or maybe in a radio, a very special radio show or things like that. But eventually then I found a record shop in the center of the city, in center of Caracas. And the guy had In the Court of the Crimson King and In the Wake of Poseidon, the first 2 albums of the band. The prices were good. I didn't have enough money, but the price was good. And I remember that I took the CDs and I said, I will went home and I will ask my father some money to buy these records. But if I leave the CDs here, somebody will take and will pick it up from, then will be no more here. So I took the CDs and I hide the CDs in a place of the store, when out in a section where was this Caribbean music with the covers.
Nobody will look at it. Yeah.
With the girls with bikinis and things like that. And I put this here. So I went home and I asked my father for money, and I begged for money for records. And then I had the money, and the other day was the possibility for me to buy those records. So I remember that I went home, and the first impression when I put in the court of the Crimson Kings, when I heard 21st Century Kids and Men, it was so weird. Then I said, I think I don't like this thing.
What is it? Yeah.
Yeah, what is this? Yeah, I think I don't like it. And then I remember that I didn't give a second chance. I put the CD away, and I said, no, I will not hear this. I don't like it. But then 2 days later, I went the second one, in the Wake of Poseidon, and then I heard the mellotron parts in the Wake of Poseidon, and that literally changed my mind. So I started to hear the album again, and then I gave the first one a second chance.
Yeah.
So it was for me something really difficult to explain. So it was a big influence, and I started to try to find all the music that the members did in the past with King Crimson or with other bands.
Yeah, it takes time to really understand King Crimson.
Yeah.
Porcupine Trees, Steven Wilson, it's the same. It takes many times. Some people would never like that, and it's fine. People like other type of music, country music, and salsa, merengue, and I don't like the stuff, but I respect that other people like, right? But
Yeah, of course.
with King Crimson, it's it takes time to understand the stuff.
Yes. Yeah.
It's very complicated, very complex.
Yes.
Very
yes,
difficult to be a musician for playing for King Crimson.
Yes, it is.
You need to be very special, like have a good personality and be able to adapt, and and it's not for everybody. Let me put it to you that way.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's good music, and feel free to elaborate on in the demo album called "The Strange Life of Weird Color," how that came together. And
yes, for many years I was writing songs and trying to do things with people. I never had the opportunity to find officially musicians to play in a band or something like that. So I don't remember exactly, it was in 2008 or 2009. I don't remember. I started to find out the way to record my music by my own. And I had already some songs, and I found my first program to record music with my synthesizers and some virtual instruments. And I started to record and write lyrics. And a friend of mine was also a friend, colleague of Alfredo Escalante. Alfredo Escalante was a big name in radio in Venezuela because he was a very famous radio announcer and broadcaster with decades of years of experience, with interview with people like Freddie Mercury,
wow.
George Benson, Robert Plant, a lot of people.
My God, man.
Yeah. So his friend to me said, I will tell Alfredo that you are doing music, and maybe he is interested in put some of your stuff in the radio. And I said, get out of here. I don't think so. And then I remember that I was invited to the press conference of Yes in Venezuela, in the second coming of Yes to Venezuela with David Benoit. That was before the tour of Fly From Here, I think. And in the press conference of Yes, it was Alfredo Escalante. And he introduced me to Alfredo Escalante. And I remember that Alfredo was always with Ray-Ban glasses. He looked at me and he said, Carlos told me that you are doing progressive or symphonic music. I would love to hear what are you doing. And I said to him, yeah, for sure. I will give you a copy of my CD, and yeah, you can tell me if you like. I remember that I sent copies of the CDs for two other big names in the radio in Venezuela. One of them didn't say anything, didn't reply, never. And the other one said to me, I don't like it. This is crap. It's a trash. Please don't do it again. And then, when I meet Alfredo to give the CD, I was not expecting nothing, but when I arrived home, I had in fact an email from him, and the email said, I was very impressed with what I heard. I will put it in the radio. Please give me more details about everything. And that's
Wow.
it. So he put that in the radio, and then we meet in another day. And he said to me, we were taking a lunch because we become very good friends because he was a very nice person. And for me, it was an honor because he was really a big name. And his show, his radio show, his name was La Música que sacudió al mundo, the music that shakes the world. It was very famous in Venezuela. And I was like, for me, it was a privilege to have him like a friend and to have the opportunity to have my songs in his show. I remember that we were taking a lunch one day and he said to me, now what? And I said, what? You do this first album, now what are your plans? And I really didn't want to do another thing because it was really an experiment. And I said, I will give you two advices. Number one, don't stop to make music, keep going. And the second one, try to find other musicians, even better than you, that will help you to develop your music and your skills as composers. So in that way, after that session, I wrote a song called An Endless Path to Infinity, which is in my EP, Until a New Dawn. And that song and another song instrumental called Limbo. And it was the idea to finish the tracks, and he was expecting to put it in the radio. But then the situation in Venezuela was not really good. I was starting with this idea to migration in my head. So it was not possible to start something new. And then I left Venezuela and just I sell all my equipment, I sell my synthesizer, all the things. So I came to Europe, and that's it. So I was in touch still with Alfredo Escalante by email and telephone until 2016, the year that he died. And then in 2019, I thought I will recover these recordings, these tracks, and I will put like in an EP, like a tribute to him, because in 2020 will be just 5 years of his passing. Oh. So that's why I sent the Tony Franklin the first these two tracks, and he said to me, "Yeah, I like it. I can help you if you want to improve it." Then we were looking for a drummer, and he said to me, "You better look for a good drummer because those tracks are not so easy. There are parts like are some a little bit tricky, and it will be needed a good drummer." So I tried to find a good drummer. I remember that I sent an email to Pat Mastelotto, and he was too busy at the moment. He sent me the reference of Tobias Ralph, who was previously in the band of Adrian Belew. Tobias Ralph was not possible for him. So I contacted also Chester Thompson, and
wow.
I received the reply of Chester Thompson. He said, "The music is very good. I really like it, but unfortunately, I'm not interested in this kind of music anymore. So try to looking, but this is not for me." And I had the impression, and many people told me this, that he is his interest is more focusing in jazz and things like that.
Yeah.
And I remember that as I was speaking a lot with Russell Gilbrook, who is the drummer of Uriah Heep. And for some reason, it was not possible to him to record. And then was announced that Pendragon will be in Vienna. I knew the name of the band, but I never was really close to their music. So one day I was watching the video and I saw that the drummer was really terrific. And I saw some videos of them and I said, I will try to write an email to this guy. Maybe he's interesting. He was Jan Vincent Velasco, and he replied, and he started to record the drums. And so in that way, we recorded this EP Until a New Dawn with two old tracks, and a track that I wrote specially for Alfredo, Until a New Dawn. And the guitarist is in fact a Venezuelan guitarist as well, that was part of a cult band from Venezuela called Resistencia. He was living in Spain when I met him in 2011, I think. So I asked him if it was interesting for him to record, and when he heard the names Tony Franklin, John Vincent Velasco, and all the stuff, he said, "Yeah, we'll do it."
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. So we start to record it, and it was just 3 songs, and it seems that it went very well. I received a lot of support from Mellotron in Argentina, from several podcasts in Canada, in France as well. And so I had that it would be a good idea to do a new album with completely new music. So
Good for you, man. And you're lucky that you were able to get a hold of Mastelotto and then Chester Thompson and so forth, because sometimes those people are very busy. They don't reply. So you're
yes. Well, I must tell you that the list of people that I sent emails is longer.
yeah, quite sure. A lot of people say, "Hey, who is this guy?" No.
Yeah. It's like this. Yeah, but they are really nice people. So I must say that the most friendly, talented person which I work until this day is Tony Franklin. Tony Franklin was since the first day that I said, "Hey man, I have the songs. Can you please hear and give me your professional opinion about this?" And he said, "Yeah, they are very good. I would like to help you if you want." Since that day, I think that there were really a good relationship in the way that we work.
Yeah.
Even with Vincent Velasco as well.
Yeah, and Tony is very famous guy too. I mean, he played with he contribute to a lot of different bands, right? So
well, his first professional, if I'm not wrong, his first professional band was the band of Roy Harper.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. So then from Roy Harper, he jumped into the Firm with Jimmy Page and Paul Rogers.
Yeah.
And Chris Slade on drums. So we are talking of big names in music.
Big name. Oh yeah.
He played also with David Gilmour and Kate Bush, and in fact he received an offer to join Pink Floyd before Guy Pratt.
Wow.
But it seems that the managing in that time of Tony Franklin was not accepting the conditions to join Pink Floyd. It was not possible. But he received the offer from David Gilmour to join Pink Floyd as well. Yes.
My God, man.
Yeah, he's a wonderful player. He's a wonderful player. Yes.
Yeah, I remember something similar happened to me when I during the pandemic. I opened the radio. I opened another one, and I thought, well, musicians are not touring. Everybody must be at home with nothing to do. I will start calling people, send an email, and nobody replied to me. And I said, I'm kind of giving up. And then all of a sudden, Steve Hackett got back to me.
Steve Hackett is a very sweet person.
And I got lucky with that one. And I told him, I exchanged a couple email with his wife, and I tell them exactly what I want to do with my concept and my vision of creating like a YouTube channel after that, because at the time I was only thinking about the radio, but a YouTube channel to create a musical legacy of everybody, not just him, but everybody for free, so people in 20, 30 years from now can say who was Pink Floyd, who was this guy, who was Robert Fripp, this or that. And he liked the idea, and we did it. And then the next one was easier, a little bit easier. And now the other way around. And now a lot of people are emailing me on a weekly basis. Hey, can we do an interview? I saw an interview with this guy, the guy like the music. Can you help me out? And many people I need to, unfortunately, cannot reply their way, or I say, well, I can do it, but in a month from now because I have scale other stuff, and
yes.
Like you, I work, for a living as well.
I know this kind of living. I know.
Yeah, and I'm going to be interviewing. We'll do in-depth interview with Steve Hackett in January as well. He will give me 2 hours of his time, and because I want to revisit all his period, now
Great.
he's doing the Foxtrot that's 50 and all the Genesis plus. All the stuff he had done on his own outside Genesis, and he's an unbelievable guy, man. So I wanna capture in conversation 2 or 3 hours with him. So
he is part of, for me, the best era from Genesis. It was the era when he was and Peter Gabriel was in the band. Yes,
absolutely. So how did it go with the Until a New Dawn? Were you able at the time to do a little bit of touring, selling some of the album, sending the EP to different radios for them to play the music? Any traction from there? Or?
The way that the best way that I found to try to promote myself was, well, first of all, when we were finished with the 3 songs, I had the opportunity to have the hands of Mark Wingfield, which is a great jazz guitarist from Monjun Records, from Heron Island Studios in UK. He made the mix and the mastering of the entire EP. He did a great job. Then when the songs were ready, I was starting the best way to present the artwork and all that stuff. And in fact, that was the last highlight of the production, because Hugh Syme did the art cover.
Wow. Yeah.
And in fact, Hugh Syme gave me the idea in the song Until a New Dawn to include the mellotron on the last part. It was really his idea, curiously. And when the EP was finished, the best way that I found to promote is just sending the content to people, to radio stations or for magazines and all that stuff, like I did with Andrés Valles from the Mellotron. I received a very good response from Andrés, from the La Heavy in Spain, from Vicente Mariscal Romero. I received also good critics for Canadian podcast, because his name is, I don't remember the name, CSWJ is the name of the chain, from Calgary, Alberta in Canada.
Yeah.
From Terra Incognita in Canada as well. In Belgium, there were a lot of people that were also involved. Coit 9 in France, it's a magazine that was always asking me. So I found that way to promote myself, sending emails to those people, and eventually I received email from persons that said, yeah, I liked music, I would like to be your manager, or things like that. But have people that I really don't, when you find out where are these people, they are like with nothing in the background. So I don't know, it's difficult to trust in other person when you see that there are people that with no background
of course,
in the profiles, you know. So eventually I started just to send information with emails, sometimes sending copies of the CDs to radio stations and things like that. And it's easy. It's not so easy as you know, because there is no record label here. Everything is done just by myself, produced by myself, and I record. So I need to songwrite, to try to make the ideas together, to record my parts, then to send the demo to Vincent Velasco. He will do his part, then with Tony Franklin, and then with the guitarist, and then try to put everything in the best way it's possible.
Cool.
To find the venues is something that will require always more time, you know, and this is something that unfortunately I didn't have, because I have a regular job, I have also a family, and I have all the things in my life. So this is like, maybe I hate when the people say to me, then this is your hobby. I don't consider it as a hobby, because it's something that I feel passionate, you know.
Yeah.
So I don't consider it really as a hobby, but it's unfortunately is not my main profession. So I cannot leave my regular job to try to book in venues and things like that. And it will be also a little bit difficult, because, you know, Tony Franklin is living in Los Angeles, Vinny Velasco is living in London, I'm in Germany currently. So it's a little bit difficult, yeah.
Yeah, but you gotta do what you like, and then, you know, maybe down the road will, you know, new opportunities will open up, and then, you know, then at the time you can consider, well, I stay in computer science, or I take a camp. It's very difficult, I mean, to make it into the music business.
Yeah, it is.
You know.
Yeah. And it's funny because nobody in the company where I work know that I'm doing music in my free time and things like that.
See?
It's like I'm Clark Kent from the day I'm working, and then in the night
You
I'm
take
like
your
Superman.
yeah.
Yeah.
You
It's
don't share with them. You don't say, hey, I'm
no,
maybe in a
not
party,
really.
no,
No, I really don't like to mix those
work with.
things, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, this is more like a private thing. And when I have an idea, I close into my room and I put into the keyboards and I try to put all together. And that was the way that Super Sargasso Sea came out.
Mm.
I started with something that I really want to develop as a song, with like a story or something, and that's the best way for me to start a production, let's say.
Yeah. Feel free to elaborate how the new your new album come together, the Super Sargasso Sea, where the name came from to begin with, and that's a very good album. I was able to listen to that during the weekend, actually on Thursday night and Friday, and I really like it. Feel free to elaborate how the motivation of that album, how long
I'm
did
glad you
it take
like
to
it.
put it together, and so on and so forth.
I'm glad you like it. When I finished Until New Dawn, and I saw that there was a very enthusiastic response from magazines and broadcasts and radio shows, I thought that it would be a good idea to start with a whole new album with a whole new music. So I started to think that it maybe will be a good idea to create something connected with a subject that will be something that will cause some passion on me, like the music. And then came the topic of UFOs. I really like this kind of things, this mysteries and things like that. And I was reading a book called The Strangers of two people from Argentina, the psychologist Juan Acevedo Peinado and the psychiatrist Dr. Nestor Berlanda, who are specialists with decades of studies from people that claim to have contact with entities, not human entities.
Yeah.
People that is considered mentally totally healed persons, not crazy people, not people with disease or some kind of, no, people, normal people. And I remember that I had an interview with the psychologist Juan Acevedo, and then I started to talk with the Dr. Nestor Berlanda. I made a list of, I think it was 14 or 15 cases of the real life, real cases, where it was some kind of contact with people with something that we don't know what it is.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah, beings that the people claim to be extraterrestrial beings or things like that. One very famous case is the case of the three childs in Portugal with the Holy Mary Fatima. This is one of them. And then when I start to speak with the psychiatrist Nestor Berlanda, he talked to me about a substance called dimethyltryptamine. The dimethyltryptamine is a substance that is in whole nature. In fact, our brain produces dimethyltryptamine, and in the same way, our stomach produces an enzyme that dissolve or destroy this component in the blood.
I see.
And so the levels of this substance in us are always balanced. But he said to me that there was a psychiatrist in America that made a very interesting experiment in the early 90s. The name of the doctor is Richard Strassman. He made an experiment with this substance, giving this substance by injection to the people intravenously to more than 50 volunteers. And the experience that the people had was the same as the people that claim to have near-death experiences. You know, those people that had an accident and suddenly they feel that their souls as parting from the body, and they can see this body and they can see everything.
Correct.
Those kind of things. Those kind of things. Yeah. I feel very interested in that because Dr. Nestor Belanda told me, this is just the beginning, because in the middle of that experience, the people claim also to have contact with entities. And the curiously is that those entities, a lot of those entities had the same description as the people that claim to have contact with extraterrestrials. So it seems that they are connected. It's a thing that there is connected. So I bought the book of Dr. Rick Strassman about his experiment. The name of the book is the DMT, the spirit molecule.
Yep.
And there was a part of the book that was shocking. In 2020, my father passed away. It was a very difficult time for me, because I was not able to travel to Venezuela to be with my family.
Yep.
And I found some kind of relief in a book called Tibetan Book of Deaths. In that book, it's expressed that when a person dies, the soul of the person has 49 days to find the liberation, or the nirvana, what the Buddhists call. If in those 49 days, the soul of the person is not able to find the liberation of the physical or the material world, then is destined to reincarnate. Okay. When I read the book of Dr. Rick Strassman made a statement in the book that the dimethyltryptamine is produced by a pineal gland in the brain, and the pineal gland is visible in human beings in the week 49 of gestation. It was very shocking for me.
Oh.
And then I started to change the concept of the album, and I started to connect everything with the loss, the experience of the loss. And then I had this book of Charles Ford, which was a writer, American writer and researcher, which was very interesting in anomalous things like that. He made a book called The Book of the Damned, which described a lot of strange rains of animals, range of fishes, range of spiders, very different substances, red rains, black rains in different parts of the world without explanation. And he mentioned it in his book that science was very hypocrite in that time, because they said that the tornadoes make this raising all these things from the earth, and eventually those things fall out in other places. And they had a very strange theory that for some reasons we have contact with another world, and for some strange reason, sometimes the things on earth will get lost and will go to a place that he called Super Sargasso Sea.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
Which is the place where the lost things go.
Yeah.
And those things eventually return to the earth like rain.
Yeah. And that was the name of the album, right?
And that was the name of the album.
What did you, in a way, you feel that the album, to a certain extent, is like a healing in honor of your dad, that you couldn't fly and see him?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is, because I remember that the first impression that I had when my father died was that I didn't want to do music anymore. What I was doing, I wanted to stop, and I thought if I'm gonna do some music, I will do something just maybe instrumental thing, or something just dedicated 100% to the memory of my father. But that process of healing made me retake the production of the EP and things like that. But then with this idea, with those books, then I started to develop those ideas according to the concept of the loss. And I wrote a song about the death of my father, the day that my father passed away. The name of the song is Tell Your Mom I'm Not Coming Home.
Yeah.
And the idea behind the song was that the only person that was with my father when he passed away in the hospital was my brother.
Mm.
So I had this idea of the consciousness of my father trying to communicate with my brother in his room when he dies, telling him, go home and tell your mom that I will not return anymore.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
That's a very good expression. Do you think that nothing to do with music? Do you think that do you believe in life after this life, or?
It's a very good question. There are a lot of phenomenon that suggest that there is something else. And as strange as it seems that all the mysteries like phantoms, extraterrestrials, spirits, angels, demons, everything, all those things are connected with that other part that we don't know.
Mm.
And that what came to my attention about the dimethyltryptamine, because there are people after had this experience, the people had the certainty that that place where they go with the experience of the dimethyltryptamine is the same place that they will go after the death. There is also a very mystery phenomenon which is called EVP, electronic voice phenomenon, which is people taking voices, it seems to be from nowhere, and the people claim that are the voices from death that are communicating with us. It's very strange because in some cases, these voices have the name of the persons which are communicating or have information that just the person that is hearing it's able to know.
Mhm.
But I don't know, I think that we are sharing this world with something else that we don't know what it is. According with the theory of the strings, with the maximum proposal is Michio Kaku in United States, there is another 11 dimensions with our dimension. So there will be like maybe 12 dimensions, different dimensions. And our reality, we are able to see just what we can able for our brain. Our brain is like a receptor that makes our eyes, our ears interpret all that there are in our world. But with this substance, it's like you have a more bigger spectrum of reality and you are able to see the whole picture. So it seems that we are just able to see our material world, but it seems that there is another part that we cannot perceive in our bodies.
Yeah, no, definitely. It's very, very, very interesting. And yeah, I will send you a couple of videos after this, and then I
Sure.
will ask you your opinion. But the album, as I said before, the album is very, very good. I know that was, but the name of the title of the album, there was something there. That's what I asked you. It wasn't, it wasn't whatever great progressive music or the line of this or that, whatever the album may be, but I knew there was something there. But so don't give up your music, but eventually you will need to, easy for me to say, but eventually you need to figure out a way to take your music career to the next level, right?
Yes.
Finding a band or finding a way to promote your music and play live, and then perhaps make a living out of music, at least on a part-time basis, right? And
Yes.
because it's part of you, like me, right? So this is like my wife say, this is a part-time job because I spend a lot of time to that, but I like it.
You enjoy in doing that.
I enjoy it. I mean, it's I'm very passionate like you about music, and music has always been part of my life through my dad. And although I have done okay my life, and I'm an engineer and I have other professions I have done well, that I'm very likely to do this kind of stuff, and I couldn't be live without music. I mean, I listen to 2-3 hours every day of music. I talk to people, great musicians like yourself, and people all over the world that I talk to, and it's great. I'm happy. I'm lucky that I'm able to do what I like.
What you
Some
like.
people
Yeah.
unfortunately cannot do it for, I don't know, the people in Ukraine, right? They need to leave everything behind.
Yes.
This crazy guy, or countries in like, I don't know, Cuba or Venezuela that they need to leave everything behind, escape, and start a new world somewhere,
Yes.
control. And so in my case, I'm very lucky to be able to do what I like. And I knew that I'm not a musician. I don't play music. I don't know how to read music. I don't play any instrument, but
But you
this
enjoy
type
the
of music,
music.
is, human contact is very, very important. Calling people all over
Yes,
the
it
world,
is.
and in a way, I don't do this for me, just for me. I want to create like a musical legacy for a future generation, and
That's great. Yeah.
some people want to say, who was King Crimson, who was Jeff, who was Leo, who was that guy, and well, everything. Hopefully, the internet will be around
Yeah,
after
of
I
course.
go somewhere else, and people can enjoy these interviews, So
Yes, yes, yes. Yeah, I think that maybe one of the most peculiar things for the people is that the name Leo, when you see in my album Leo Carnicella, the people say, "Who is this guy?" But if
yeah.
you see the list of musicians that they will see there. These are really great musicians.
Oh, they're big name there. They're
Yeah,
very
yeah.
good name. They're very name. Yeah. And then
So
when I upload the radio, when I upload the link to the YouTube on the radio, I will put to your biography and people see the people that you have played. So
yeah, thank you, thank you,
keep on working hard, Leo, and don't give
thank
up,
you.
man.
Yeah, yeah,
You will fall 3 times, 4 times, but eventually you need to get up again and do your thing. It's eventually I'm older than you, you're going to be 80 or whatever. One day you say, man, I did exactly what I wanted to do. I
yeah.
didn't have a good family, a good kids, and I did the music, I did my work, and I'm happy. That's what I do. I want to live.
Yes,
I want to pass away maybe when I'm 86 or something, and I look back and say, man, I did exactly what I do. I got a bunch of college degree, which I do, and
that's the best.
I
That's
did
the
the
best
radio. I
thing
bought a
to
lot
do.
of music. I saw everybody in town. I saw a lot of concerts. Hey, maybe I will interview uh I don't know, Eric Clapton when he's 70 or 80 or whatever, but I will share a beer with the guy and be happy. So,
Yeah, yeah, of course, of course.
you
Yes.
know, so keep on working hard, Leo. Don't give up, man. You're doing very well work. Your album
Thank
has
you.
been very well received, and I know a lot of people are going to like it. And eventually somebody, you need to be lucky. Somebody need to give you a break, and then you will open up more opportunities for you, man. So don't give
Yeah,
up. Keep
thank
on
you.
working. You got to keep on dreaming, man.
Yeah, yeah.
Dreaming high and aim
I,
high.
I hope that in my next album, I hope still have Vincent Velasco on drums and Tony Franklin
Yeah,
on bass, because I think we can understand very good each other, and we work very, very good. Everything is smoothly, and let's see. I hope to have them in the next, but I don't know. Tony Franklin is a very busy person because
of
he
course.
record with everyone. We record with a lot of musicians.
Right. Yeah.
He is always busy with this fantasy camp. It is a musical camp in United States, and let's see. But it's
Yeah.
my goal to try to find other persons as well. There is a long list of people which I would love to work,
Yeah. Yeah.
but before to send any demo, of course, I need to be very careful in what I send him because the track should be very good. And that was the case with Martin Barr, who plays one track in Super Sargasso Sea.
Right.
So before to send everything, I need to be 100% sure that this is great. This is gonna work.
Yeah. And then Steve Hackett, he
Yes,
can open a lot
let's
more
see.
doors for you, as well.
Yeah,
So, all
yeah,
right, man.
let's.
It was very nice talking to you. I know it's late for you, Leo. Good luck with everything you do. Hopefully, the World Cup is coming up in
Yes,
now, and hopefully countries in Latin America can do well. And
yeah, of course. Yeah,
Brazil and Argentina have a good chance. So we hope.
let's see. Yeah.
Let's see. All right. It was very nice talking to you, Leo. Man. Take it easy. Have a good evening.
Thank you very much, Claudio.
Thank you. No problem.
Bye.